handshake, and he sits down and he plays 1e6. So maybe he was choosing an opening this whole time. You know, that would be pretty interesting. 31 seconds on Magnus Carlsen's clock as he plays the French defense. And Kovalyev takes 5, and eventually something is going to give. Kovalyev still with 6 seconds on the clock. Carlsen going hither and thither, trying to chisel his way into White's position. The rook is currently parked on a4. He has to keep it in contact with one of White's pawns. No, he brings it up to a1, and White's rook does not have any active prospects, but rook d1 by Kovalyev, keeping the gates to White's queenside shut. And there goes Carlsen's b-pawn. He continues grabbing space and strangling White's pieces. Kovalyev is just sort of staying put and bringing his king up to d3, where it almost gets checkmated by the bishop. A check on b5, driving the king back to c2. Now king b3 is a big threat. That would win the b4 pawn, and Carlsen brings his bishop just in time to c4. The king moves up to b1, chasing the rook away, but the rook can go to the other side. It can go to h8. It can go to e8. It attacks the knight. The knight moves. No, it takes the bishop. Oh, but this looks bad for Kovalyev. Look at Carlsen's pawns on c4 and b4. Kovalyev is shaking his head. The world champion might win this game. Rook d4 attacking black's pawns, and king c5. There might be d6. So Carlsen pushes b3 and takes the pawn on f3, takes the pawn on d5. He is now up a pawn. The king is chasing the rook off of the b file, and rook f4 offers an exchange of rooks. The pawn endgame would obviously be lost for White because he's down a pawn, and the king is brought back down to d4. This is exquisite endgame technique by the world champion. He threatens to take the other pawn on g4. 2 seconds for Kovalyev. He is desperately trying to defend, and he loses the second pawn on g4. He does pick up the pawn on b3, but Carlsen now has connected pass pawns which are rumbling down the board. Kovalyev has to set his own pawn in motion, but it's not fast enough, and it's blocked by black's rook, and he resigns the game. What a display by the world champion, who started the game with only 30 seconds.